Skill India actually brought in a lot of standardization, a lot of emphasis on the respect to be given to the skills. So we have given direct employment to around 3 lakh persons and self-employment to around 3 lakh.
Today we have with us Dr. Rupak Vashisht, CEO and Director General of the Apparel, Made-ups and Home Furnishing Sector Skill Council for the Government of India. With an illustrious career spanning over 35 years, Dr. Vashisht has held numerous enriching leadership roles within human resource, legal and skilling domains spread across various industries like automobiles, textiles, healthcare and education. With this role, he has been entrusted with the critical responsibility of fulfilling the mandate of the Skill India mission under the Government of India for the apparel sector. With his rich and diverse experience, he is continuing to make a remarkable contribution and a humongous impact directly at the grassroots level by imparting quality training and skilling to thousands of Indians and helping them earn sustainable livelihoods. Dr. Vashisht, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
So, sir, just to begin with, we would like to understand a little bit about your personal and professional journey and how the foray into skilling really began.
Yeah, thank you. In fact, my background basically is of human resources and education. Wherever I have worked, in whichever industry I have worked, I worked in the human resources and the education side. So, in fact, I started my career with Escorts Limited, with the Yamaha motorcycle division. There, in fact, I was instrumental in having this team built up for Escorts Yamaha, thousands of them, in fact, and trained them for the organization. So thereafter, I worked for Apparel Export Promotion Council, and this is an apex body of exporters of ready-made garments. And this works under the Ministry of Textiles. And so I worked there for good 16 years. And in addition to my stint as human resources head, I also was instrumental in starting their education vertical. In fact, I founded the Apparel Training and Design Center there, which has around 150 institutions, 150 branches across the country right now. And this particular organization has skilled, I think, more than a few lakh persons in the apparel industry. Thereafter, I changed my industry, but remained in human resources and education stint itself in the healthcare sector. So I joined Dr. Lal Path Labs. I was their Vice President Human Resources and just headed their HR division. In addition to that, I again in Lal Path Labs also started their education vertical. So their education vertical is their Center for Excellence. We call it Center of Excellence. They call it Center for Excellence. So started that, and that is also going on very strong right now. And they are also imparting skilling trainings to thousands of people. So in 2014, in fact, there was a position here. In fact, there was a need of the CEO of the Apparel Sector Skill Council. So I joined this organization in 2014. Since then, I'm heading this organization, and this is going strong every day.
That's wonderful, sir. I mean, you have quite a diverse experience within the industry. And now just talking about the council in particular, what is the vision behind a sector skill council and what are you really working towards?
See, skilling in the country, in fact, the country did a lot on the education side. In fact, every second person wanted to become, doctor, engineer, or MBAs, and you have thousands and lakhs of MBAs and engineers, going here and there. What happened was that we gave too much of emphasis on education. The skilling was given some emphasis, but not as much as the present government is actually giving on the skills right now. The emphasis or the attention which the present government is giving, this was somehow not there earlier. So, and moreover, skilling used to be, considered as a kind of inferior kind of, you don't get admission somewhere, okay, fine, we join some skilling courses here and there. Second, the skilling used to be considered as a kind of shop floor kind of work only, right? What happened, with the Skill India mission? Skill India actually brought in a lot of standardization, a lot of emphasis on the respect to be given to the skills, and above all, it introduced a thing called NSQF, National Skills Qualification Framework in the country, which actually standardized the skilling, which brought in a lot of order in the skilling ecosystem. As I said that it used to be considered, skilling used to be considered a kind of shop floor activity. A welder, a carpenter, a plumber, a motor mechanic or a machinist. We thought that, okay, these are the persons who need skilling. As far as the supervisors are concerned, as far as the managers are concerned, as far as the MDs are concerned, as far as the CEOs are concerned, we actually used to feel, oh, we are born skilled. Whereas we are not. Actually, we are not. A supervisor working in various sectors, a general manager working in various sectors, he is not skilled. He may be a good supervisor. Once he is promoted as a manager, no, he might not be a good manager. Yeah. Manager, when promoted to CEO's position, he was a good general manager. He was a good supervisor, but not a good CEO because he lacks those skills. So what the NSQF, the National Skills Qualification Framework, has brought in is skilling from level 1 to level 10. Up to level 4, it's the shop floor skilling. 5 and 6, it's the supervisory skills. 7 and 8 is the managerial skills, and 9 and 10 skills for the CEOs and the MDs of the organizations. So this is the standard which the National Skills Qualification Framework has actually brought in. And this is what the Skills India is. Skill India movement, the Skill India mission. In fact, these sector skill councils were opened by the government. What the government thought. Earlier, it used to be a governmental organization looking after the skillings and taking this forward. Thereafter, what the government thought was that let this be end-to-end kind of a program, like a turnkey program. And they just invited the industry and said that, okay, you do one thing, you set the standards in your respective sector. You then set the protocols as to how the persons need to be trained. You set the protocols as how the persons need to be assessed and certified, and you employ the persons as well. So end to end, you set the standards and ultimately employ the persons. So this is what the government basically did and invited the industry. We, as far as Apparel Sector Skill Council, let me just give you a slight brief about the Apparel Sector Skill Council. So we have skilled and certified more than 12 lakh persons across the country. Yes. And there are 45 job roles on which the standards have been created and skilling has been imparted.
Absolutely wonderful, sir. And just on that point that you mentioned about the self-employment, that's not something that a traditional skilling institute will probably focus on. So how has the Apparel Skills Sector Council made entrepreneurship a priority in your skilling center?
Okay. Now, as far as entrepreneurship is concerned, so we have two major segments. One is the urban side, one is the rural side.
Yeah.
So people or the youth coming from the rural side, we have a job role called self-employed tailor. So what they do, they undergo this particular program. And the best part with the skilling, ecosystem is that there's not much emphasis on just like educational stream. For going to, let's say, graduation, you must have done 12th standard. For going for post-graduation, you must have done graduation, basically. It's no more. Though there are some minimum qualifications prescribed under the skilling ecosystem, but again, it's not mandatory. So it's what we call it preferably. So for a particular position, let's say an 8th standard person is needed, or minimum qualification to enter a particular course is 5th standard, 8th standard. But again, if a person who has done, he is 3rd standard pass, and he has inclination and aptitude to work, and go for the skilling courses, we don't stop them, basically. This is the beauty of the Skill India, mission. So, self-employed tailor. So we have, trained and skilled more than 3 lakh persons in this particular job role. And what people have done is people have opened their own small tailoring shops. Whereas, if you see the urban side, because the youth obviously would not like to open a tailoring shop, but here they, after doing this boutique managers course, so people have done boutique managers course and opened their own boutiques as well. This is on a higher kind of strata of society. So urban and rural. If it is rural, then self-employed tailor. If it is urban, then it's a boutique manager. So again, in both the cases, self-employment has been actually resorted to, and we have encouraged self-employment. Looks so nice, with least cost. And the best part again is that all these courses are free of cost to the end user. That's the best part. Where in the world would you get this kind of facility whereby all these courses are and these are the courses which would take you either to employment or self-employment. The mandate with the training partners who are imparting these trainings is to either employ a person or provide him self-employment opportunities, because he gets his last 20% of his training cost only if he gets the person employed or self-employed. So this is the beauty of this Skill India mission, as I said, under the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana. And there are scores of other schemes also which are being run by various other ministries and the state skilling missions as such.
Excellent, sir. I'm sure a lot of these, individuals are first-generation entrepreneurs who are really trying to go out and figure, how they can make a better livelihood for themselves and their parents. So that's great stuff. Now, talking about the COVID crisis, which has come down on all of us so heavy, what are certain changes in demand that you've seen within the apparel industry? And also, what is the scope for reskilling and upskilling in a time like this?
Quite right. COVID as such has affected the entire world. All industries are affected by it. Some with greater punch and what is a lesser punch, fine. So just like all other industries, apparel industry has also been really adversely affected. And people are finding it, in fact, the orders which are the major, buyers. Major buyers are either US, EU countries or Canada. These are the major buyers. And in all these countries, COVID is spread, across all their country. So most of the, activities in their own countries were halted for some time. But now Europe, US and Canada, they are opening up, and slowly the orders which were stuck have started coming in again. Now, Indian exporter or Indian apparel manufacturer was affected, in 2 ways. One, the orders were not coming, or the orders which were already there had been withdrawn, or the buyers were asking for discount. Okay, 10 rupees thing, you provide us at 5 rupees, then only we would buy, something like that. But now that part is being eased out a bit now. But the problem again was the migration of the workers. In fact, in the apparel industry, lot of workers migrated to their native places. So the industry is facing a dual challenge, one related to orders, one related to the migrant workers. But slowly, workers have started coming back as well. So, and the bright side, what is the brighter side? What we see here is India used to export apparel worth approximately 20 billion US dollars, as compared to China. China used to export apparel worth 177 billion US dollars. Now, since a lot of European countries or USA or Canada would be buying less from China, this is what our presumption is, much of the business is likely to come to India. So right now also, we feel that although yes, there is a setback here like any other industry, but possibly with the coming days, the demand of Indian apparel would increase, and we are going to certainly, there'll be more requirement of skilled manpower here.
Wonderful, sir. I mean, to hear about all the initiatives that are being employed to really ensure that the population that was really affected the most in our country is being supported through this crisis. Now, talking just about the way forward, what do you think is the next step that is, the next challenge, let's say, that is facing the skilling industry in general, and how do we overcome those challenges?
You see, the biggest challenge lies that the demand is somewhere and the supply is somewhere.
Yeah.
In a sense, let's say apparel industry in North India. The demand, we have some hubs, various hubs. Delhi NCR is one hub. Panipat is one hub. Ludhiana is another hub. Tirupur, Erode, Salem, or so Calcutta, to some extent Mumbai. These are the hubs where the apparel production takes place. But the question is the supply of the skilled manpower or the manpower as such is available in states like Bihar, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, or West Bengal.
Yeah.
So now there's a big challenge here as to what should be done. Should we establish the training centers at the supply side, or should we establish the training centers at the demand side? So what we are basically doing is a balancing kind of act. Half of the centers we are trying to establish in the demand side, whereas half of them are being established in the supply side, so that there's a healthy balance, and whoever comes over here gets skilled and gets employed. Otherwise, we can, get the persons skilled in these places and transport them to these demand side, basically. This is what, it's a big challenge, by the way. It's not a small thing. It's a lot of planning is required for this. And the Apparel Sector Skill Council, along with the NSDC and Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, is actually doing this particular, taking this mission and going ahead with this. And we are very hopeful that till now, as I said, around 12 lakh persons have been skilled and certified. We feel like going ahead with the skilling even more numbers in the coming days.
Great, sir. That's great to know. So thank you, sir, for being a part of this interview. It was great to hear from you, and especially how passionate you are about skilling. And that was something that was really coming through your answers. And I wish you all the best for all your work within the Sector Skill Council, as well as under the Skill India mission, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.